Hey folks, I have read your part one for your quality paper today and have given you feedback on your paper. If you have questions or concerns about the feedback that you've been provided, please touch base. It is so important that you have clarity about the direction that you need to go so that you're properly prepared to execute part two. Part two is not a paper, it's a PowerPoint that has a voiceover component. You're going to do the voiceover PowerPoint, then convert it into a movie through YouTube or through the Movie Maker if you have an Apple system or a Mac. Either way, you're going to create a URL or a hyperlink to an uploaded video made from the PowerPoint. So I want you to begin to think about two things. One, what innovative solutions are you going to propose based on your research into the literature related to your quality issue? Are you going to propose that your organization uses to address the quality issue that you've addressed in part one? And it needs to be something that's not currently in practice, and actually it needs to be two somethings, and something that is innovative, something that is new and a fresh idea, something that is truly based on evidence and current best practice. So begin to think about that, go into the literature, look in evidence-based peer-reviewed articles related to your topic, look and see how other people and other organizations have addressed the quality issue that your organization is experiencing. And then that's part one, is content. Part two is the process. A lot of people will just assume that they can do a voiceover PowerPoint and then upload their PowerPoint slides and create the URL in a very short period of time. The process is a learning curve, especially if it's not something you've done often. So plan accordingly. This is not something that you want to be doing in week 5 at the very last minute. So begin to anticipate the content, but also the growth opportunity if technology is not your friend. Plan for plenty of time to play with the technology, to get familiar with it, and navigate that as well. Again, if you are reading the feedback that's been provided to you related to this assignment and you are unclear about next steps, I want you to reach out to me. Send me an email and say, hey, Dr. Hudgens, I'm not sure about this, or hey, can we talk? Because it's important that you are on the right footing before you start part two. From a nursing leadership standpoint, it is so important that we understand quality and that we understand the evolution of that concept, that we understand that we really are in a value-based healthcare economy, and that makes our job much more difficult. And as leaders, we really need to fully understand that from a organizational perspective and a professional perspective. The other piece of this that we really need to understand is that as Christian nurse leaders, we have to not only understand the professional and the organizational implications of quality issues, but we need to know our calling as Christian nurse leaders. What does that look like? How does that translate into practice? One of your classmates did a really nice job touching on this topic. Melissa wrote, a visionary leader has clear goals in mind, aligned with organizational mission and vision, supportive of their frontline staff, giving them a voice and an arena to speak openly and freely without fear of retaliation, promotes an environment where nurses can make a true difference in patients' lives. As Christian nurse leaders, one of the most important concepts to keep in mind is to be compassionate and kind. The Bible instructs us in the book of Colossians chapter 3, verse 12, therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Through Christ, all things can be achieved if it's God's will. God knows the heart of those who strive to do well unto others, and He will comfort them. I think that is such a beautiful way to encapsulate the important next step for Christian nurse leaders, that it's not enough that we understand the logistics. It's not enough that we act with ethics and values and morals in our professional role, but we really need to demonstrate the fruits of the Holy Spirit in that journey, in that process, in each of our interactions. And there are times, especially when innovation is running 100 miles an hour and things just feel like they're really, really hectic, in trying to just maintain basic staffing and making sure you have all your patients covered, then we want to talk to you in depth about quality issues and how we need to reach benchmarks and keep pushing ourselves to be better. As Christian nurse leaders, we need to be anchored in our faith, and we need to really make an intentional effort to walk in God's grace and to really demonstrate the fruits of the Holy Spirit as we go through that, so that we can walk through quality issues and deal with difficult issues in a God-filled way. So I think Melissa did a really nice job kind of wrapping that up in a good synopsis. From an APA standpoint, you guys are doing a really good job. The only thing I am going to remind you to do, just from a general standpoint, is be sure that you're taking time to fully understand how you use level headings effectively to organize your writing and to guide your reader. You, at this point, especially with papers like this paper really should have had level 1, level 2, and maybe level 3, depending on how drilled down you got, but at least level 1 and level 2. And keep in mind that the level headings, that level 1 acts like a chapter. Big topics, big sections. Sometimes a good way to relate that are sections on the rubric. Now, you don't want to copy the directions on a rubric for bullet 1 and bullet 2 and make those level 1 headings. But thematically, those are big chunks of information. Those are big sections, and you could treat those under a level 1 heading. Under a level 1 heading, then you'll place level 2 and then sequentially level 3, breaking up themes to guide your reader. So a level 1 is followed by a level 2, and a level 2 is followed by a level 3. Again, the idea behind this is to help you organize your writing, but in the process of you organizing your writing, you're also helping your reader follow along in your thinking. So I want you to be mindful of that and understand that at this point with the level of graduate level writing and an analysis that you should be practicing at, those use of appropriate level headings to organize your paper is a graduate level expectation and should not be glossed over or skipped. Next week, you've got reflective exercise number 1. Folks, be sure that you do not throw away these reflective exercises and just bang them out. The purpose of a reflective exercise is to give you time to really spend time reflecting. The idea is that you think about your practice, think about your experiences, and begin to think about them in a meaningful way to integrate into your practice. What are the things that you've learned? This assignment has 2 parts. The first part is a Word document asking you to reflect on innovative changes that have occurred in your practice area. What's new that wasn't there when you got there? Begin to think about that, and you're asked to explore 1 to 2 of those topics and just give your thoughts about this. I often get asked in part 1, well, how many references do I need? The answer to that question is whatever is needed to support what you've said. If you heavily rely on your own reflections and your own experiences, then you may use none, you may use 1. But if you pull in other references and you're using other people's insights or thoughts, then you need to support it. There's no minimum for this assignment. I want you to be thinking, really spend some time. Where was I when I started my practice? What kind of innovative changes have occurred? Be concise and succinct. When I say, about 2 pages, I'm serious. This is not something that you want to wear yourself out over, but I do want you to be thoughtful about it. Part 2 is a PowerPoint. This normally, the idea behind this PowerPoint is that you engage the person who's viewing your PowerPoint to try to hook them or persuade them into being interested and supportive of evidence-based practice and innovation. The idea is to get somebody to think, hey, I need to be doing this, to persuade them. This is not a voiceover PowerPoint. One of the questions I get asked sometimes is, well, how long does it need to be? Long enough. I will tell you that the average is about 10 to 12 slides. The idea is that if you sat this in a room and you just hit autoplay and it looped while people walked by, that it would get their attention because it's aesthetic and it's visual and it's pleasing and it's not overly cluttered with slides, that it includes appropriate pictures and graphs and tables, and that as you caught their interest and they begin to view this, that their takeaway would be, innovation's pretty important and I need to participate in this in my unit. Okay, so think about that in that perspective. It does need to be polished. It needs to be something that you could put on a loop and walk out and not be embarrassed that someone's going to know you did it. And that means it needs to be professional and polished. But content-wise, it also needs to be persuasive, and you need to support that. Your assignment requires you to have 3 to 5 additional resources. You're going to use evidence-based, scholarly, peer-reviewed journal articles in this assignment. And remember, you do want that last slide to have a reference list of the sources that you use. Treat your PowerPoint just like you would a paper. If you're using someone else's work on a slide, then you're going to use an in-text citation on that slide. How you do that, where you put it, entirely up to you. There's lots of opinions about how to do that. Just do it. Cite your work just like you would in any other paper. Know that when you're done, you're going to have a Word document, you're going to have a PowerPoint document. You're going to load both of those before you submit this assignment. Blackboard will allow you to attach multiple files. Excuse me. So make sure you attach both of those files before you click submit. Otherwise, you're going to be in a panic and realize that you've submitted only half of your assignment, and that will not bode well for your outcome. So be attentive to that piece. I think, looking through my notes, I think I'm good. Know that I'm here, folks. I know that we are heading into week 3, and if you're anything like I am, you are trying to realize that really is summer, and part of our brain says it's summer, I need to slow down, I need to just catch my breath. And working full-time and in school and probably with 2 or 4-legged commitments, this has got to feel like you've got an awful lot on your plate. Take care of yourself in this. It is okay to unplug and take, some time to engage and be fulfilled with the people and the things in your life that fill your well. But be attentive to deadlines and be attentive to quality efforts in this course so that you're successful. Know that I'm here. I am just a click away. Let me know how you are. If you need something, be in touch, okay? I look forward to reading your reflective exercises next week and getting you feedback. You'll have a great week.